team that you think will be the most popular for phone calls based on legit assets that can help a team win the World Series is?
I'll go with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And first of all, good to be here with you boys. It's been a while. But they have so many different pieces here. And this season has not gone how they expected it at all. But they have pieces such as like Zach Gallen. They have Merrill Kelly. They have Shelby Miller. They have a bunch of pieces on offense, which are headlined by Suarez there. So they have so many different names that they're already starting to get calls in Arizona. They're not ready to sell quite yet. But if they continue to struggle, and with Corbin Burns' injury, then that could make them a really enticing trade candidate for so many different teams. There's not a lot of obvious sellers right now. So if they end up deciding to sell, they could really end up dictating the market here.
Robert, where are you at on the Orioles and how far they will go? We talked earlier about Félix Bautista. I actually believe that he won't be dealt based on how many years he has left, what his cost is, and the messaging to Orioles fans. Hey, we tanked for half a decade. We lost favor in the area. There are fans that probably became Nationals fans, not older fans, but younger fans, because they're like, this isn't a serious franchise. They're tanking for years, and the window was so short for now, they can't just close it. Do you think that if they trade someone like Bautista, who has years of control, they're sending the wrong message, and they should look more at Sir Anthony Dominguez, Andrew Kittredge, Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn, etc.?
I think you're spot on with that. If I was them, I would not move Bautista unless you end up getting just a massive haul like we ended up seeing last year with Scott and a bunch of these other relievers who were moved last year. Like the prices on relief pitching, especially high leverage guys, was just so high, and these teams could not necessarily like ignore that. Like the value was just too much for them to say no to. And if the Orioles get something like that in return, then I think that conversation could be had. But if you're looking at it from their perspective, they, in my opinion, they can't move guys that are not they can't move guys who are signed long term. They have to move guys who are signed in for only this season. And you can look at Charlie Morton, to me, is one of the better value plays. He struggled to start this year, but I think a guy with his history and just how good he's been and how important he's been in clubhouses as well, that guy, I would target him if I was a team, not looking to necessarily like break the bank for a starting pitcher, just a pitcher in general. But you mentioned some of these other guys as well, like Sagano, like Zach Eflin, Cedric Mullins. There's so many different guys, like also relief pitchers as well. Kittredge, although he's signed for next year as well, but they have guys who are signed short term that they can move on from, and they have a core of young players. And you guys were talking about it before I hopped on here. The expectations were just so high in Baltimore, and it's just not been that at all. And they have to continue to try to build for next year and going forward. They cannot sell anything too big where it just decreases their chances of winning next season, because then that could end up really impacting Mike Elias's job status. And maybe with them moving on from their manager, that has already happened where it's like his seat's starting to get warm. But they're going to be building for next year and going forward. So I expect this to be just a sell-off of expiring contracts for this year.
But isn't that just quid pro quo from normal teams that are like championship caliber teams? We always talk about how, well, the Pirates can't trade Paul Skeens. The Orioles can't trade the Mountain. Like, to me, teams that don't go out and spend and make that big move, you can't just go quid pro quo like the Yankees would never trade a Paul Skeens. They would never like, you have to almost like flip the script and be like, wow, how did they do that? Are the Orioles in that position, or does this new ownership, I think they spent $73 million this year, just expect, okay, we're going to run it back next year, but we're going to put our money into new things? Because if they don't go out and get the guy, because all we heard from the Orioles was, oh, we're going to go trade for this guy, trade for that guy. Why not make a big move now and get that starting pitcher before the offseason?
You're preaching to the choir on that one, because I've been wanting them to make a big move for even since the offseason, and they just have not done that. And it's incredibly frustrating because in my time of covering baseball, I'm 10 plus years into this now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I've never seen a core of like this talent or this much talent of players, even maybe since like the Chicago Cubs, or even more so than that. Like they have such a great collection of young players all across a roster here. and they have just not maximized it. And if there was anything that they were going to go out and spend on, it was starting pitching. Like they did it getting Corbin Burnes almost immediately after the ownership change. So I was hoping and thinking that was like a sign of things to come, but it's just been incredibly underwhelming. And whether it's the owner, whether it's Mike Elias being like hesitant to make a big move like that, I'm not exactly sure what it is, or even if it's just a mixture of both. But this team, especially with all these guys signed cheap, but also long-term as well, now has been the time to go out and get those players in free agency, or even when you have an infield logjam or even an outfield logjam, trading some of those guys and improving your pitching staff. They've not done that. They did it last year with the trade with the Marlins, and they moved a guy like Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby, and that trade was easily the worst of the last deadline. So the pressure is on them to get things right both now and in the offseason, because if not, then there's going to be a lot of talk about them looking for both a new manager but also a new GM as well.
While you're mentioning the Marlins, what do you think they'll do? I mean, Sandy Alcántara's put together back-to-back nice outings, so maybe he goes on a little run here over the next month and gets himself back into the trade conversation for Miami. I'm sure they would like to move him. Pitchers are always taking time bombs, even though this one's coming off surgery, and if they're thinking long-term, this would be a good year to do it if he gets back on track. And is there anyone else you think that could pop up and be relevant for a Marlins trade conversation?
I honestly think the Marlins will listen on anyone not named Agustin Ramirez or even Yuri Perez. Anyone else, I think they'll listen on. And like, I want to make it clear, like listening and shopping are two totally different things. Every team listens on almost every player. Like that's just a part of it, because you got to know exactly what kind of value is out there and try to make the most informed decisions for your franchise. So when I say that, like I just anticipate them listening on essentially everyone on the roster. And I could also see that including a guy like Kyle Stowers. And my guess is a trade is probably unlikely, considering this just the overall year he's had. He signed long-term, he signed cheap. I believe he's in his mid to late 20s, somewhere in that ballpark, and he's a really valuable piece. But what I said before with the Diamondbacks, it is so far this looks like a very limited trade market and a seller's market. And I would not be surprised at all if the Marlins got plenty of trade calls for a guy like Stowers. And if you can end up having those trade calls turn into offers and those offers turning into a bidding war, then that could be something where I could see the Marlins trying to take advantage of that. But I think Stowers makes plenty of sense. Sandy Alcántara, we've talked about plenty. And the year that he's had overall has been extremely disappointing. Like, I think his best baseball is easily ahead of him, but this season's been a huge struggle for him. And I would not be surprised whatsoever if the Marlins held on to him and tried to wait for the offseason or even maybe next trade deadline to try to trade him. So my guess is Sandy stays, but then some of these other guys on the roster, they could be had, or even some bullpen guys as well, because bullpen is always just a huge need for almost every contending team.
Hold up, though, on Stowers. I don't know where he's at with service time, but it is very, very early in the service time clock for him. Yeah, free agent listed here. I don't, with Baseball Reference, do they mean after or during the year? It says 2030 mentioned.
After, probably.
So after 2030.
Wasn't he a rookie last year?
Yeah. I think he had been up and down a couple other times.
Years.
Yeah, he had been up and down actually for the last few years, but barely.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to trade him. He looks like a piece of the future. Honestly,
yeah,
for me.
Okay, there we go. I got to make sure. I don't think they're going to trade him, but I think there's going to be plenty of teams who call. So that's what I want to say there.
Peter Bendix will trade anybody. You make the right call. You might. You know what they could. You know what? If you call Peter Bendix right now and you offer him the bat dog that just got called up, he'd be like, we could save a couple bucks by making that trade. Maybe we could do that. And,
dog food.
And the dog, but the bat dog could also do something. We could also save money on a bat boy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, maybe.
Yeah. See, Robert would never trade his pup, but I get what you're saying, Robert.
Yeah, Cooper's not available. He's untouchable. No. He's in the Paul Skeens category for me. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. Kratz, you look different today. Do I see Chubby's shorts on your shoulder?
Oh, the sick design. I mean, don't even get it twisted, too, because the lining normally is like an SOS pad. This lining that's in the center is so soft, so smooth. The outside, so many things to choose from on chubbyshorts.com.
Facts. And the code FOUL for 20% off. I got the Tiger Sharks.
Ooh-wee.
little blend of a tiger and a shark. It's beautiful. So don't wait. For a very limited time, shop Chubby's biggest sale of the year, $45 shorts and up to 65% off select gear. Hit up chubbyshorts.com and grab your favorites before they're gone. If you miss the sale, then use the FT code, FOUL in lowercase for 20% off. Support FT, let them know we sent you when the survey asks, and get ready to turn some heads. Summer's here, dress like it in Chubbies.
The Rockies, they've always been willing to like make big moves at the trade deadline when they – oh, wait, no, not the Rockies. Clearly, they have some pieces. Are they going to be able to move or want to move the pieces that are actually good, or are they just going to be a team that tries to move like a Kinley, who's – I think he has a 6+ ERA, or even finally move McMahon, who – now isn't having a great year when they could have traded him other years and gotten something for him.
There is a reason why the Rockies are always bad. And I mean, that's just one of many reasons for them. And it's unfortunate because that ballpark is beautiful and they somehow like have a bunch of people in the stands on every night. But yet the product on the field stinks. And that's not the players' fault. That's just an organizational problem. And it starts at the trade deadline because they've had players in the past, and Ryan McMahon, it really is just the prime example of that. He is someone they should have sold when his value was a lot higher. I know myself and so many other writers were really like adamant that they should absolutely listen, but yet Dick Munford and that organization put their foot down and were just like, nope, it's a guy we're not moving. He's a favorite of Munford as well, and that's gotten in the way of this, and also I believe some other things in the past as well. But if they listen on him right now, which I think Ken Rosenthal even reported today, like there's no real sign that there's no real, like they haven't decided exactly what they're going to do here. But if they do listen on McMahon or even some of the relievers or just anyone on that roster in general, they should absolutely consider moving McMahon, even though his value is not what it once was. But shedding that big contract would be ideal for them, but just they could have gotten so much more even a year or two ago. And the fact that they've waited this long and might move them now, the Rockies are going to Rocky.
Well, the whole Monfort family works for the Rockies, don't they? It's like the dad, the brother, the son, the other son, this guy's sister. It's like the whole family works for the Rockies. So they can't sell, they can't move on because then they would have to find a whole new family business besides the Rockies. So I get why Monford's someone to sell. All right. Let's go to the team in their division, though, the Padres. What's a bigger need for the Padres? Left field, which is they do have Hayward coming back, or is it catcher? Which one do you think they have a better chance and maybe a better need of filling?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think you can make the case for both. And you can even see it in spring training with the Padres at the catcher position because Elias Diaz was struggling there, and they were trying to figure out exactly what they were going to do, and they even kicked the tires, I believe, at some point in the spring or somewhere in there on that ballpark on Yasmani Grandal, who actually was just released from the Red Sox, but I would not be surprised if Grandal ended up retiring there. So if that is the case, like, heck of a career by Grandal. But catching, that's always tricky. What exactly they can end up targeting? Like who's going to be available? Like Gary Sanchez could make sense if the Orioles end up moving on from him. So I could see that being a potential fit, and there's history there as well. And then you could also look at left field, and there's going to be plenty of different options for them to consider. But the thing, I would actually put catcher ahead of that just because I think catcher is just AJ, like, and also Kratzy there as well. You guys, a team of catchers today. I didn't even think about that. But catching is such an important position. So I would put that ahead of that for sure. I would think that's probably the top priority for them. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to be spending too much money because they've had a pretty limited budget in years past. Even so, in the offseason and getting Jackson Merrill's deal done there was a lot of pushing and shoving that had to go into there to make that happen. So I'm not banking on a big AJ Preller move. Although that being said, he's proven me wrong before with Luis Ariz and some of these other things. So I'm not going to doubt him, but I'm kind of skeptical of that right now.
And catching moved at the trade deadline is rare moves. So it's barely, but let's talk about a call-up that happened in both of our old stomping grounds. Jacob Misiorowski. Is this guy's ascension to the big leagues going to be culminated in him being pulled out in the 5th inning? Or is this 103 going to be something that we're going to see night in, or not night in and night out, every 5 days, and really solidify that second spot in the Brewers rotation, especially with Savali going to the bullpen?
I think he's going to make an immediate impact, and you might think I'm crazy for what I'm about to say, Kratzy, but we've seen the Brewers. They've had Freddie Peralta, they've had Corbin Burns, they've had Brandon Woodruff. If everything goes right for Misiorowski, I could see him being better than all of those guys. He has all the tools in his body. He's typically averages about 97 to 98, can top out at 103, got a really good slider, really good curveball. And his big problem that he's had has been his control. And he's figured it out. It's been moving in a better direction for him. And if everything ends up working out, and like I know that's easier said than done, but he's got all the tools in his body to be better and better than all those guys. So if I'm the Brewers, I would be incredibly optimistic about what's to come for him. He's going to make an immediate impact there, and both now and going forward, my guess is he's going to be in the ace of that rotation, maybe as soon as next year if Freddie Peralta becomes a trade possibility for them in the offseason. So there's just a lot of optimism surrounding Misiorowski. I'm surprised it took this long, but the fact that he's about to make his debut, I think everyone in baseball should be watching, because he is easily one of the best pitching prospects to come up for the Brewers and just in general. Although Bubba Chandler is he should be up now, but he's also a very good one as well.
When do you think Bubba Chandler gets called up for the Pirates to give them something else to watch for fun, since the team's not a contender again?
I was hoping like a month ago. He's so good, and if he ended up getting called up earlier, he was my pick to win National League Rookie of the Year. He is an awesome player, and the Pirates, I mean, they played better since moving on from their manager there. And if you call him up, you're going to have Paul Skeens, you're going to have Bubba Chandler, you're going to have Mitch Keller, you're going to have a bunch of these other guys. I wish Jared Jones was healthy, because having all those guys together would have been a really, really, really cool thing and given fans a reason to come to the ballpark. And it's a shame to see that ballpark as empty as it is. But Chandler is the best pitching prospect in baseball. And the Pirates should have called him up even a month ago, or they should call him up now. I don't know exactly what they're waiting for, if it's like a service time thing. I have no idea, but Pirates fans have every reason to be optimistic about him, because between him and Paul Skeens, you have maybe the most talented 1-2 punch in baseball with those guys.
And Harrington coming up too, but can Bubba Chandler hit? Because if that's the case, then the Pirates fans will really come out.
Oh my God! If only it was Shohei Ohtani. He can't play first base. Yeah, that would be that would be fun. That'd be fun.
Okay, good.
Hey, bring me in for a sec. So you remember, you got to go way back, 2024. The Pirates called up this big deal pitching prospect named Paul Skeens. They called him up on May 11th, which is too late for them to get that extra draft pick, that reward for calling someone up, right? But not too late for that player to get a full year of service time if he finishes in first or second place for NL Rookie of the Year. So they got nothing out of a system that is essentially created for an organization like that.
Yep.
Some smart people on the screen right now. Do we think that has anything to do with it?
I'm handling other stuff.
I know you're handling.
I'm handling other shows.
I'm going here.
Sorry.
I'm going here.
Robert, no offense. We have a guest coming on next.
Surprise coming. That's fine.
Oh, no, you're good, AJ.
Apologize.
But okay, former Pirate Eric Kratz, do you think that has anything to do with it?
Yes. Fool me once. Whoops. We didn't think Skeens was going to pitch like he did, or they knew he was going to pitch like we did. We didn't think he was going to win Rookie of the Year. Oh, wait. We let him keep pitching. Then he won it. We're not going to make that mistake again with a guy who, our great Robert Murray just said, is one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. I saw him in spring training. Woof. That dude can sling it.
Nasty.
Exactly.
He's so good.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.